Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Bruichladdich Black Art 7.1 25-year-old Dustin. Got this bottle, probably 3 or 4 months ago. Opened it with you almost immediately. We were both owners and huge fans of the 4.1, which was a 23-year. So we had expectations that weren't as high as that one, but boy, were we surprised with this Black Art 25-year-old 7.1. This is the 1994 vintage. It comes in at 48.4% ABV. Dustin, you know a little bit about Black Art. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, again, we don't know anything about it because it's a Black Art. We do know the age, but we don't know what they did in cask maturation. We do know that this was, now you're gonna have to help me, Mike, here. I know the 4.1.
23-year-old.
23-year-old, that was the last bottle produced from the master distiller who'd been with these guys for 20 years or whatever it was.
Yeah, and also the last cask strength version. So basically, after 4.1 or the fourth version, they stopped going to cask strength, and they were all a 48.4 going forward. So 5, 6, and 7 were all 48.4 or non-cask strength.
Yep.
And I saw the new one, and it's like at 45 and some change. So it's going down again. But when I first saw that, you and I you were helping me make my decision, and we're looking at ABVs. You're kind of a little disappointed with the lower ABV, but then we kind of got the bottle, and our thoughts changed a little bit. So we're going to show you that natural color, beautiful 25-year-old Bruichladdich. And just so you know, I know we've been saying that we've been calling this the 7.1, and we talked about the 4.1 and the 5.1 before. Bruichladdich likes to use this point system a lot of times, like with the Black Art, they do 10.1, 2, 3, 4. Now with the Black Art, they pretty much just do one version of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the 0.1 means.
I assume it's the same 0.1 they use for the Octomores, which tells us which where they're getting their barley from, basically.
Oh, okay, that could be right.
That's my assumption. I could be wrong. So fact check us down below.
Yeah. So what Dustin's saying is with the Octomores, the 0.1s are Scottish barley, meaning from Scotland, but usually in the mainland, or the main portion of it is barley sourced from the mainland, to where their 0.3s are all local, meaning somewhere on the island of Islay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the case with these.
Not positive, but that's what I've always assumed, because otherwise,
that's actually
why are they doing that?
That's a good thought. Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, the odd thing is that these are usually heavily influenced by different cask maturations, different finishings. And that's usually where the .2s fall in, so I'm kind of lost again.
Yeah, who knows? If you know,
it's a Black Art, guys.
Yeah, if you know, let me know in the comment section, please. I've tried to research it a few times, but who knows? All right, so I will say, as far as the legs on this one, might as well worth mentioning, we're using the Capitas on this one. In a previous video, I'd said I'm probably going to use Capitas if it's below 50% ABV going forward, so we're trying to stick true to that. So we're going with the Capita, nice little roll around the glass. It's a very thick whiskey. Comes down, not instantly. But when it does, they're not uniform legs. There's kind of like oil. Whenever they find a path of least resistance, that's where they go.
Yep.
Dustin the nose, my friend.
Mike, I'm not getting a whole lot of wine influence right off the bat on the nose. I'm picking up that kind of classic Bruichladdich barley, grain, 100%. And there's a nice sweetness overall. There's a coating of just kind of light candies. I definitely do believe there's wine finishing here, but I'm just struggling really hard to pick up what I'm getting on the nose in terms of wine finishing.
To me, it's always smelled, and this one's no different than the 4.1 or the 3.1. It smells like a French oak to me. It smells like some type of red wine French oak to me, would be my guess.
Because I know some of these have used a pretty heavy port. Others have been more on the sherried side. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, I don't think this is port this time. 1, the color, and 2, port's usually more aromatic. It's more aggressive. My guess is these are probably refilled sherry butts that are just really adding a nice, balanced, sweet, tame, refined, high-end whiskey note.
Yeah, I tell you what, as far as the nose goes, I am getting some of the sherry flavors. I'm just getting brown sugar. I get that barley note. There's almost like a walnut nuttiness to it. I'm getting some of those light sherry notes. Like, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say a fig or a date, but...
Yeah, a little bit of almost like an old book.
Here's a little armchair leather here.
Yeah, it's a little bit of leather, but also a little bit of just kind of like old paper that's kind of just been aged. This is older whiskey.
Yeah, marzipan, I would say.
I could see that, yeah. That more kind of generic sweetness that's not really jumping out at you.
Confectionery sweetness.
I'm not getting that much sweetness here. I'm getting a lot of dryness here. A lot of...
Walking around the fair that we couldn't have this year.
Yeah.
Smelling that cotton candy. A little bit of that cold air.
Oh, funnel cake almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like from a distance where there's something they're burning, cooking.
White powder sugar.
Yeah.
The lights are coming on the Ferris wheel. Half an hour from sundown.
Yeah, I'm telling you, though, I'm really struggling to pull a lot out of here. And that's why we went to the Capito, is because we do know that this is 48% is a good ABV, and drinking wise, I think it's a really great one. Sometimes on the nose, though, you either have to pour a really big glass, and we're trying not to do that, so we can get some reviews out today.
But it comes off, a little lesser than say cast strength or maybe some of the other ones.
Yeah.
But I'm still getting that nice brown sugar, barley note.
Yeah, this is very pleasant, but I'm not going to spend time nosing this whiskey, Mike. This is one I'm going to go in on a normal night. I'm going to smell it 2 or 3 times, and I'm going to be like, well, okay, it's time to drink.
This one seems to get better though after you've had a couple sips and then you go back to the nose.
Yeah, well, I think it probably, a lot of people say you want to give whiskey 1 minute per year age to let it open up.
But we're not sitting here for 30 minutes before we get to it.
No, that's going to be a really long review for you guys.
All right, I'm going in.
All right, yeah. So I'm just kind of giving it one last little nose it here. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, as it's been sitting out here, I think we're 6 minutes into the review roughly. I am getting more of the sherry notes coming through.
Spicy. You can definitely get that sherry influence on the palate now, big time. Comes off so much richer and bolder on the palate than it did the nose. I mean, it almost comes off very similar to the 4.1 where it's, a cast strength whiskey.
Yeah, I mean, the 4.1 is a little bit spicier and a little bit more, has a darker oomph on the end.
This is rich whiskey.
It is. Yeah, Mike, so again, I'm getting the sherry up front. I almost want to say this could even have a little Fino in it, which is that lighter, drier wine.
Yeah, it feels like the wine cast maturation is more exotic. I said on the nose it was probably some type of dark wine, some type of red wine.
Yeah.
But you're right, on the palate, I could see it being some type of white wine for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could believe a Fino here. I could also believe, there could be 5 or 6 or 7 different finishings that went into this wine.
It wouldn't shock me if it was multiple.
Yeah.
It's similar to the Dalmore 25. It has multiple cast maturations in it. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a very similar scenario with this, because again, there are some aspects of it that makes me think X white wine, and there are some aspects of it that makes me think X red wine.
Yeah, and then it's got a beautiful transition midway through where you start off, you get that wine character, then you start picking up and noticing, that aggressive barley, earthy, sweet, very pleasant whiskey, and then the finish, the wine comes back. Everything
it's
comes
sticky
back.
too on the finish. It's got some linger to it.
Oh, yeah, I'm still
Like it
tasting
holds
it.
on.
I'm still tasting
I mean, there's milk chocolate, but with spice, and just maybe a gentle, not mint, but mint leaf. You know what I mean? Like as a garnishment. Like you actually bit into your cheesecake or whatever, got the berries at the end, got a little piece of that garnish in there to where it's not minty, but it is a mint leaf.
Ooh,
No.
cherry,
Yeah, there's definitely cherry in here.
not just cherry, I'm sorry, cherry, what's that cake? Cheesecake. There's cherry cheesecake in the finish.
That's what we're saying with the mint and berries on the end.
Distinct. I mean, I'm legitimately like getting maybe like a yogurt version of it where they make it taste like that, so it's not quite as rich.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I hadn't picked that up earlier.
Yeah, definitely more impressive whiskey on the palate as compared to the nose. I mean, the nose is nice. I mean, I call the nose an 88, 89, but the palate's a 90 all day, 91 maybe.
Yeah.
And now with water, the vanilla notes coming. Like I can almost see now, there's probably spent a majority of this time in the bourbon cask, which I assumed.
Yeah.
I assumed that the sherry cask were finishings and things of that nature. But I really wasn't picking up a lot of bourbon cask maturation. A lot of times I think because I can pick up that distinct distillery barley note as I can with the Octomores, I think to myself, oh, it must have spent most of its time in a ex-American bourbon cask.
Yeah.
But I really couldn't pick it up as far as like a flavor like vanilla or something like that. But the vanilla is there, man.
Oh, this is so much of that barley, and then it's got light milk chocolate, and then it's got that nice transition where you get the sherry cask and the cherry and the cheesecake.
There's definitely milk chocolate on, but I keep going back to something I said initially. There's like a walnut or like an acorn type note to it.
Yeah.
Not a buckeye. I mean, we're here in Ohio, so we have
Yeah,
buckeyes. But as I told you before, I'm originally from Northern Illinois. We used to have these big acorn trees.
Yeah.
And there's just something along the lines of a walnut or an acorn nuttiness to this.
I agree on the palate. I wasn't getting it on the nose. It could be there, and maybe
it still is to linger on the palate, but man, I got it initially on the nose, and I still think there's that walnut note there.
I think I don't know. I think my glass maybe needed to drop more when I first got it for the nosing, because I was just coming off a little light.
Maybe I shortchanged you. My bad.
It's not a big deal. Like I said, we don't want to drink too much of this stuff while we're reviewing, but I just I was going in, I was like, gosh, it's missing something. But I'm getting that walnut on the palate. There is a nut there, and we don't use the word nuttiness very often in scotches, even old scotches. Every now and then it comes out, and this one's got that's barley.
It's easy to miss when it's an aggressive whiskey. I mean, a nutty I can only like the Balvenie 17-year-old double wood, but that's 43%. I seem to get on lower ABV whiskeys. With something slightly over 48%, man, it's rare to get a nutty finish to something like that. Yeah, but it's there, man, for sure.
I'm getting more spice too now.
It's absolutely spicy. The spice on this, I would bet money this has French oak cask in this without question. Not Spanish oak, French oak specifically.
100%. There is French oak in this. If there's not, I want to know what black magic they pulled.
Yeah, I mean, because French oak has what I mean by that is they have a very porous wood to it. And it feels like it just rips out more of that oak spiciness to it. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm saying French oak wood, sourced from French forest. Now, they could put Oloroso sherry in it.
Yeah,
or whatever. They could age it in Spain or something like that. But I'm telling you, the wood itself, where it started, was that porous type of French oak that I get. And again, that overwhelming spicy oaky note.
It's more drying in the mouth when you get that French oak. It's got more spice. It's got. It's just French oak in my mind is where I like my aggressive, assertive whiskeys to be aged. And this one, I don't know that I want to call this aggressive. This is refined. This is sophisticated.
Sure.
But it's got enough oomph where those of us who have become spoiled cask strength drinkers are saying, "Oh,
this is a solid offering.
This works."
Yeah, this is extremely tasty whiskey. All right, so for the second time today, I'm going to be at a 91 out of 100 on this particular one.
So, Mike, I'm coming in at 90. To me, this is right at that $400 value mark, which is kind of where I kind of look at the 90, which is like it's something that's serious and you've got to spend some money for it and it's worth it. But it's not. It's coming off a little lesser than last time we had it. It's just not quite as.
I agree. It maybe wasn't its best day. A little cooler, today, temperature-wise. So maybe it doesn't come off quite as elegant and as nuanced as it has, at other times. But still a very, very solid dram. I would absolutely buy another one. I think I got this online for, what was it, $3.20 or something like that?
Yeah.
I'd pay that for it all day.
Oh, absolutely. I think going rate in the U.S. is going to be the $360 to $420 range.
Yeah, for sure. You're looking $400 before taxes in the U.S.
Yeah, if you can get it for $400, I think it's a buy. Anything over that, I think you need to like the Bruichladdich profile a little more.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is better than the 4.1, but this is the close second to all of the black arts that I've had.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, so, 7.1 is a good one if you guys can get your hands on it. The 4.1 would still be my recommendation if you can get any of them. But aside from that, those are just our opinions. Once again, we want to thank you for joining for another whiskey review. And Dustin, what do we wish the folks until next time?
Happy drinking.
See you then.